Good day, classmates. I am Christine Arreza, and my research proposal is entitled Towards a Disaster-Resilient Community, Co-Designing the Community-Based Early Warning System of the Municipality of Carrascal. This is in partial fulfillment of the requirements for DEVCOM 204. According to the Global Facility for Disaster Reduction and Recovery, since 1990, the Philippines has been affected by 565 natural disaster events that have claimed the lives of nearly 70,000 Filipinos and have cost an estimated $23 billion in damages. An average of 20 typhoons per year make landfall in the country, and an average of 20 earthquakes per day is observed. The country is also prone to other disasters such as volcanic eruption, flooding, and typhoon and tropical cyclones. The high vulnerability to risks is due to the fact that the country is lying in the Pacific Ring of Fire and Typhoon Belt, where a large number of earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, and typhoons occur. Due to its geographical location, throughout the history, the Philippines is considered as one of the most disaster-prone countries in the world. Thus, Philippines has invested greatly on efforts towards empowering communities to become disaster resilient and less vulnerable to various hazards. These efforts are grounded by Republic Act 10121, also known as the Philippine Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Act of 2010, and the National Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Plan or NDRRMP. The plan aims to capacitate both national and local agencies in disaster resilience, response, and preparedness, and helping communities and stakeholders unite in reducing risks and vulnerabilities through various programs and projects. However, it has been a constant challenge for Filipinos to sustain positive results on the area of disaster risk reduction. One reason is the failure to recognize and address people's vulnerability and investing more on disaster preparedness and response rather than identifying people's exposure to risks and their capacity to become disaster resilient. Thus, the NDRRMP outlines activities that will complete the paradigm shift from disasters as an immediate product of hazards to disasters as a function of people's vulnerability. One of the identified approaches of the Philippine Development Plan for 2011 to 2016 is to strengthen people's active engagement and the community's participation to effectively respond to climate and other natural and man-made hazards and risks. As promoted by the UGO Framework for Action, significant efforts are made across the globe to empower communities become active and responsive through early actions and early warning systems, with a people-centered approach in mind. It is further recommended that at the very least, communities must be equipped with knowledge and must be active receivers of information and/or must be involved in the monitoring process so to facilitate adoption of protective actions. In the Philippines, few efforts are made in recognizing people's vulnerability and increasing adaptive capacities of communities toward disaster response. In Carrascal, Surigao del Sur, there exists an early warning system for the municipal level, but there is no existing community-based EWS in the barangay level. In the Philippines, national and local agencies put so much effort on disaster preparedness and response and not so much on realizing people's vulnerability to different risks and hazards in the community. In 2017, the Climate Change Commission conducted the second National Panel of Technical Experts Forum, highlighting the need to strengthen multi-hazard early warning systems and services in the country as a strategy in reducing risks and increasing resilience of communities. Last November 2018, Senator Loren Legarda, Global Champion for Resilience of the UNI-SDR, urged national and local agencies to apply community-based early warning systems and other DRR measures to mitigate disaster damages and help save lives. Senator Legarda even emphasized that developing community-based early warning system must be participatory and authorities must therefore work with communities to develop these systems for Filipinos to act. These efforts are based on the facts that there is lack of understanding on people's vulnerability and the lack of CBEWS that is people-centered. Since Carrascal has no existing community-based early warning system in the barangay level, this study aims to create one. Aside from active participation, working directly with the communities to develop the system is the center of this study. Several studies have concluded that systems with a people-centered approach are proven effective in attenuating disaster effects while empowering individuals to take an active role in responding to disasters. This study can be done through completing the 4 core early warning system components adapted from UniSDR. It specifically aims to create a CBEWS for each type of area: coastal, upland, and lowland barangay. The following are the objectives set for each component: the risk knowledge, monitoring, response capability, and warning communication. Carrascal is a 4th-class municipality with 14 barangays located in Region 13, Province of Surigao del Sur. It has recently established its own local disaster risk reduction and management office and established an early warning system in the municipality level. The municipality is very prone to various risks and hazards such as flooding and landslides. Thus, it is important for authorities to assess the communities and their exposure to various risks and hazards to prepare them in times of disasters. By conducting this study, the barangays will be able to establish its own community-based EWS that is people-centered. Hazard-prone areas and people's vulnerability to various risks and hazards will be understood and identified. This will then contribute to building people's capacities to reduce risks and loss of lives and damages. More importantly, this study will serve as a guide to urge communities to take an active role in understanding their threats in order to avoid them. They must take an active role in disaster response since they are the first receivers of information. Through the community-based early warning system, people can be engaged in disaster monitoring and assessment so they can facilitate corresponding actions. The study envisions helping communities take an active role and increase participation through co-creating their community-based early warning system that will eventually reduce their vulnerability to various risks and hazards. Various national agencies such as Philippine Atmospheric, Geophysical, and Astronomical Services Administration and the Department of Science and Technology have urged local government units to come up with their own community-based EWS, since most communities don't have one, and because it has been proven to empower communities and make them disaster resilient against disasters. Based on the NDRRMP Guide of 2011, it is highlighted that disaster risk reduction or DRR efforts should be shifted from disaster preparedness and response to identifying people's vulnerabilities to various hazards and building people's capacities towards responding to disasters. Adapted from UniSDR 2009 and other organizations, early warning system is defined as a set of capacities needed to generate and disseminate timely and meaningful warning information that enables at-risk individuals, communities, and organizations to prepare and act appropriately and in sufficient time to reduce harm or loss. Community-based early warning system, on the other hand, is a people-centered approach anchored in the communities and managed by the communities that empowers individuals and communities threatened by hazards to act in sufficient time and in an appropriate manner in a bid to reduce the possibility of personal injury, loss of life, damage to property, environment, and loss of livelihood. At present, communities across the world have invested major efforts towards recognizing their people's risk and monitoring them. What makes CBEWS effective is that it has community-based approaches and involving the communities in every step of its establishment. It also recognizes local resources and capacities that will help the communities be prepared in adopting disaster measures. Since the communities understand the risks, they will be able to effectively respond to them. In the municipality of Carrascal, there is an existing early warning system in the municipal level created by the local Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Office. However, it can be noted that there is no existing EWS for the barangay level, when in fact, all barangays are exposed to different risks and hazards because of the municipality's geographical location. In general, the municipality is very susceptible to various risks and hazards because of its location, just a few kilometers east of the Philippine Trench, which is considered an earthquake generator. After the LGU conducted a geohazard mapping and assessment in Carrascal, results showed that the municipality is indeed susceptible to many geohazards such as tsunami, storm surge, fluvial flooding, landslides, and debris flow. In co-creating the CBEWS framework, the researcher considered the guiding principles for community early warning system produced by the International Federation of Red Cross and Red Crescent Societies, or the IFRC. The guide introduces 4 core early warning system components, mainly the risk knowledge, monitoring, response capability, and warning communication. The framework for this study is based on the guide, which incorporates the concept of risk communication. The 4 core early warning components are shown in Figure 1. This study will use the Participatory Intervention Model, or PIM, as shown in Figure 2, which is defined as a non-linear and iterative process that fosters the social construction of interventions and empowerment of participants, similar to the notion of intervention within research. The model is appropriate for the goal of co-designing a CBEWS because it integrates research and development of culture or context-specific interventions while promoting ownership and empowerment among stakeholders. The 4 core components of early warning system and the participatory interaction model will be incorporated to successfully achieve the stated objectives with the framework as shown in Figure 3. The main goal of this study is to co-produce and co-design a community-based early warning system for Carrascal. Since the study both involves active participation between the research and stakeholders, the concepts employed is reflective on their Participatory Action Research, or PAR. PAR is a qualitative research methodology that is considered democratic, equitable, liberating, and life-enhancing qualitative inquiry that remains distinct from other qualitative methodologies. In this study, the research will select one community per geographical profile. For upland barangay, it will be Barangay Babuyan, lowland for Barangay Bacolod, and for coastal, Barangay Caglayag. The selected participants in each barangay will be joined in focus groups and interviews, and the researcher will also practice participant observation during the process. Participants in each barangay will be selected through random sampling. For focus group discussions, participants selected in each barangay will be divided in groups, each with 7 individuals. Generally, this study will use the guide entitled Community Early Warning Systems, Guiding Principles produced by the IFRC. Co-designing the CBEWS for each community will be founded by the 4 core early warning components and will also incorporate all the guiding principles and activities attached to each component. Gathering of data will be through FGDs, interviews, and participant observation. To respond to the objectives under risk knowledge, it will use the following tools. Table 1, the mapping tool for hazard, vulnerability, risk, and capacity assessment. Table 2, monitoring driven directly by communities. Table 3, response capability for creating respond across time scales or RATs. And Figure 4, under warning messages, how to create warning signals. For Table 4, this will be the questions that will be used in compiling evidence, while Table 5 are the interview questions. In analyzing the FGD and interview answers, the researcher will use the STAR matrix, which stands for Situation, Task, Action, and Results. Meanwhile, the ratings are based on the following premises. The STAR response method is recommended for behavioral-based interviews, and the researcher will incorporate all accomplished activities under each component with the concepts introduced in the participatory interaction model. Thank you, and once again, good day.